On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected.
Thank you to all our amazing channel members for your generous support.
Payne, best known as a member of the globally successful boy band One Direction, rose to fame as part of a generation shaped by the power of digital media and global fan culture. His unexpected death shocked millions, marking the end of a life that embodied both the possibilities and the pressures of modern celebrity, while the exact circumstances of his passing were reported as natural complications linked to ongoing health issues. The emotional resonance of his death reached far beyond the headlines. It reflected a recurring theme of 21st century fame, the tension between public adoration and private struggle. Payne's career unfolded during a time when social media blurred the lines between personal and public life. Fans watched him grow from a teenage contestant on The X Factor into an international pop icon, witnessing not only his musical evolution, but also his vulnerabilities and challenges. His death reignited conversations about mental health, fame, and the fragility of human connection in an era defined by constant visibility. The response from both fans and fellow artists revealed a collective grief that transcended borders, echoing the intensity of the devotion One Direction inspired at its peak. In the days following his passing, tributes poured in worldwide. Monuments were lit in his honor, streaming numbers soared, and online communities united to celebrate his life and music. The immediacy of digital mourning, hashtags, tribute videos, and fan art demonstrated how 21st century society memorializes its heroes. For many, Payne's story became not just one of talent, but of perseverance amid the unseen weight of fame. His death amplified his legend, transforming him from a pop star into a symbol of an era that redefined celebrity and connection. Like many cultural figures before him, Payne's legacy endures through the art he created and the emotions he evoked. His passing reminds us that fame does not shield one from the universal truths of mortality and vulnerability. In remembering him, we confront our collective yearning to preserve those who shaped our memories, turning their fleeting presence into something eternal through song, story, and shared remembrance. Shirley Booth, one of America's most beloved stage and screen actresses, passed away on October 16, 1992, at the age of 94 from natural causes. Her death marked the quiet close of a luminous career that had spanned more than 6 decades. Unlike many Hollywood stars whose departures came with tragedy or scandal, Booth's passing reflected the grace and dignity with which she had lived, a mirror of an era that valued craftsmanship, humility, and emotional truth over spectacle. Booth rose to fame in a time when acting was about depth rather than fame, commanding both stage and screen with her raw authenticity. Her Oscar-winning performance in Comeback, Little Sheba, 1952, captured the post-war American struggle for identity, loneliness, and forgiveness, themes that resonated deeply with audiences rebuilding their lives after global conflict. When she died, she had long since withdrawn from public life, having retired in the 1970s to a quiet existence in North Chatham, Massachusetts. Her withdrawal from the limelight mirrored a generational transition in Hollywood, from the golden age of intimate character studies to the rise of celebrity-driven entertainment. The immediate aftermath of her death was marked by a wave of tributes from fellow actors and critics who hailed her as a performer's performer. She was remembered not only for her talent, but for her humanity, her ability to convey the inner lives of ordinary women with extraordinary sensitivity. Unlike many of her contemporaries, Booth's reputation did not rest on glamour or controversy, but on authenticity. In a way, her passing symbolized the fading of an era that celebrated emotional realism and moral complexity in storytelling. Booth's legacy endures through the characters she embodied, complex, vulnerable, and deeply human. Her death reminds us that mortality, though inevitable, cannot erase the emotional truths captured through art. Humanity immortalizes figures like Booth by re-watching their performances, teaching their work, and finding new relevance in their portrayals of love, loss, and resilience. In remembering Shirley Booth, we honor not just an actress but a mirror to our shared humanity, proof that sincerity and empathy, once captured on film, can transcend both time and death. Dan Wheldon, the British racing driver and two-time Indianapolis 500 champion, met a tragic and violent end on October 16, 2011, during the IndyCar World Championship at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. He was just 33 years old when his car was caught in a 15-car pileup, soaring into the air and crashing into a catch fence. The impact caused fatal head injuries, and Wheldon was pronounced dead shortly after. His death sent shockwaves through the world of motorsport, serving as a grim reminder of the ever-present dangers that define high-speed racing. Wheldon's passing reflected both the triumphs and perils of his era, a time when technology had made racing faster, yet not entirely safer. He had been participating in the race as part of a promotion to test a new car design for the following season, one specifically engineered to improve driver protection. The cruel irony was unmistakable. Wheldon was helping shape the future of safety in motorsport when he became its latest casualty. His accident reignited urgent debates about track design, car aerodynamics, and driver security, forcing the sport to confront the thin line between progress and risk. The immediate aftermath of his death brought widespread mourning from fans, fellow drivers, and the global racing community. Vigils were held, and the remaining drivers in the event withdrew from the race, completing 5 slow, silent laps in his honor, a haunting tribute that became one of the most poignant moments in IndyCar history. His passing prompted swift safety reforms, including the accelerated introduction of the Dallara DW12 chassis, named in his memory, which remains a cornerstone of modern IndyCar design. Wheldon's death amplified his legend as not only a champion, but also a symbol of courage and innovation. His legacy continues in every safety advancement that saves a driver's life, a testament to the sacrifices that shape progress. In remembering him, humanity's complex relationship with mortality and ambition comes into focus, our drive to conquer danger, to defy limits, and to honor those who fall in pursuit of excellence. Through memorial races, tributes, and the enduring presence of his initials, DW12, in the sport he loved, Dan Wheldon remains immortalized in the very engine of racing history. Betty Lynn, the American actress best known for her role as Thelma Lou on The Andy Griffith Show, passed away on October 16, 2021, at the age of 95 from natural causes. Her death marked the end of a living link to one of television's most cherished eras, the age of wholesome storytelling that reflected mid-20th century American values of simplicity, kindness, and small-town community. Lynn's passing served as a quiet but poignant reminder of how much the entertainment landscape had evolved since the time she first graced television screens. Born in 1926, Lynn began her career as a performer for U.S. troops during World War II, before finding success in Hollywood. When she joined The Andy Griffith Show in 1961, her portrayal of Thelma Lou, the sweet-natured, loyal girlfriend of Barney Fife, captured the idealized innocence of post-war America. Her characters symbolized an era defined by optimism and moral clarity, traits that often seem nostalgic in today's more complex world. By the time of her death, Lynn had become a beloved figure not just for her acting, but for what she represented. a connection to an America that many fans still longed for. The immediate response to her passing was heartfelt and widespread. Tributes flowed from co-stars, fans, and television historians alike. In Mount Airy, North Carolina, the real-life inspiration for the fictional town of Mayberry, locals gathered at the Andy Griffith Museum, where Lynn had spent her later years greeting visitors and sharing memories. Her death felt deeply personal to fans who saw her as part of their own family, a comforting presence from a time when television sought to unite rather than divide. Betty Lynn's passing amplified her legacy as a cultural touchstone. In a rapidly changing media landscape, she became a symbol of the enduring power of warmth, decency, and genuine human connection. Her death reminds us that mortality cannot erase the emotional truths captured through art. Humanity immortalizes figures like Lynn through reruns, museum exhibits, and shared nostalgia, testaments to our collective desire to hold on to innocence, simplicity, and the comforting echoes of a bygone age. In remembering her, we remember not just a performer, but a piece of America's gentler past. Moshe Dayan, one of Israel's most iconic military leaders and political figures, died of a heart attack on October 16, 1981, at the age of 66. His death marked the end of a turbulent yet profoundly influential life that had shaped the destiny of modern Israel. Known for his trademark black eye patch, earned in a World War II skirmish, Dayan's image embodied both the resilience and the moral complexity of a nation forged through conflict. His passing came at a pivotal moment in Middle Eastern politics, just 2 years after the historic Egypt-Israel peace treaty, which he had helped bring into being. Dayan's death was natural, yet deeply symbolic. It reflected the exhaustion of a generation that had fought to define Israel's borders and identity. Having served as defense minister during the 1967 Six-Day War and later as foreign minister under Menachem Begin, Dayan was both celebrated and criticized, hailed as a hero for his military brilliance and condemned for his controversial political choices, especially following the 1973 Yom Kippur War. His declining health mirrored the weariness of a nation still grappling with the consequences of perpetual conflict and the pursuit of peace. The immediate aftermath of his death brought national mourning and introspection. Leaders across the political spectrum, as well as foreign dignitaries, recognized him as a man whose courage and pragmatism had helped secure Israel's survival in its formative years. Yet his death also reignited debates about his legacy. Was he the visionary who ensured Israel's security, or the realist who compromised too much in pursuit of peace? His funeral, attended by thousands, became a symbolic farewell to an era of warrior statesmen who defined Israel's early decades. Dayan's death amplified his mythic status. In Israeli culture and beyond, he remains a symbol of both strength and contradiction, a soldier who longed for peace, a hero who understood the cost of victory. His legacy continues in books, documentaries, and memorials that explore his life's paradoxes. Through such remembrance, humanity's relationship with mortality and power becomes clear. We immortalize those who embody our collective struggles, not for their perfection, but for their humanity. In remembering Moshe Dayan, we remember the enduring tension between survival and conscience, the struggle at the heart of every nation's story. Ed Lauter, the prolific American character actor known for his commanding presence and chameleon-like versatility, passed away on October 16, 2013, at the age of 74 from mesothelioma, a rare form of cancer often linked to asbestos exposure. His death was natural, but underscored a sobering truth about the hidden dangers faced by generations of workers and performers exposed to industrial hazards long before safety standards were enforced. For an actor who had spent decades portraying tough, resilient men, often soldiers, coaches, and lawmen, Lauder's passing carried a quiet irony. The man who embodied endurance on screen was ultimately felled by an invisible threat from an earlier age. Lauder's career spanned more than 4 decades and over 200 film and television appearances, from The Longest Yard, 1974, and Family Plot, 1976, to The Artist, 2011. He thrived in an era when Hollywood celebrated the rugged working-class masculinity of everyday heroes, and his death marked the loss of one of the last links to that tradition. His illness reflected broader issues of the 20th century, industrial negligence and the long-term consequences of unchecked exposure to hazardous materials, making his passing emblematic of an era when ambition often overshadowed awareness of personal safety. The immediate aftermath of his death saw tributes pour in from across the entertainment industry. Colleagues and critics remembered him as a consummate professional, an actor who elevated every scene without demanding the spotlight. While he was never a household name, his face and voice were instantly recognizable to generations of moviegoers. His passing prompted reflection on the invaluable contributions of character actors, those who form the backbone of storytelling yet rarely receive fame's full embrace. In death, Ed Lauder's legend grew quieter but deeper. He became a symbol of integrity, endurance, and artistic craftsmanship. His story reminds us that greatness in art often resides not in fame, but in consistency and authenticity. Humanity immortalizes figures like Lauder through the characters they leave behind, fragments of truth captured on film. In remembering him, we honor the countless unsung artists whose work outlives them, revealing our collective yearning to preserve not just stars, but the enduring spirit of those who gave life to stories worth remembering. Roy Dotrice, the distinguished British actor and voice artist, passed away at the age of 94 from natural causes. His death marked the end of a remarkable career that spanned more than 7 decades and bridged the worlds of theater, film, television, and audio performance. Dotrice's passing reflected a generational shift in the performing arts, one from classically trained stage actors shaped by war and hardship to modern entertainers defined by globalized media and digital storytelling. Born in Guernsey in 1923, Dotrice's early life was forged in adversity. As a young man, he served in the Royal Air Force during World War II and was captured, spending several years as a prisoner of war in Germany. The resilience and discipline born from that experience would later define his craft. His career blossomed in post-war Britain, a period that valued emotional authenticity and moral endurance in art. When he died, he had lived through nearly a century of cultural transformation, witnessing acting evolve from the theater stage to streaming platforms. Yet, his dedication to storytelling never wavered. Dotrice became beloved for his portrayal of Leopold Mozart in Amadeus, 1984, and for his appearances in series such as Beauty and the Beast and Game of Thrones. Perhaps most uniquely, he held a Guinness World Record for voicing 224 distinct characters in the audiobook version of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire. His ability to give voice and life to such a vast world of imagination exemplified the timeless power of oral storytelling. The immediate response to his death was one of deep admiration. Tributes poured in from the theatrical and literary communities, praising his artistry, humility, and dedication to craft. His passing reminded audiences of an era when storytelling was as much about discipline and imagination as it was about fame. Roy Dotrice's death amplified his legacy as a bridge between generations of performers. Through his work, humanity's relationship with mortality and memory becomes clear. We endure through the stories we tell and the voices that carry them forward. Dotrice's art, preserved in recordings and performances, continues to resonate, reminding us that while life is fleeting, the human voice, the vessel of our shared stories, can echo across eternity. Barbara Billingsley, the iconic American actress best remembered for her role as June Cleaver on Leave It to Beaver, passed away at the age of 94 from natural causes. Her death symbolized the quiet end of a connection to television's formative years, a period when family-centered programming reflected and reinforced mid-20th century American ideals of domesticity, morality, and stability. In an era shaped by post-war optimism and societal transformation, Billingsley's work represented the comforting face of maternal authority and cultural continuity. Born in 1915, Billingsley's early career was shaped by the studio system, a time when actors often navigated both opportunity and limitation within a tightly controlled industry. Her eventual casting as June Cleaver in 1957 coincided with a societal emphasis on the nuclear family and suburban life, where television functioned as both entertainment and moral compass. Billingsley's performance, graceful, calm, and morally centered, embodied the virtues of patience, understanding, and quiet strength, resonating deeply with audiences during a decade of rapid cultural change. The immediate aftermath of her death was marked by widespread recognition from fans, colleagues, and media outlets, all reflecting on her enduring contribution to American television. Tributes emphasized her poise, professionalism, and the lasting impression she left on generations who grew up watching her portray the idealized mother figure. Her passing prompted a renewed appreciation for classic television and a reflection on the cultural narratives that shaped the American household in the 1950s and 1960s. Billingsley's death amplified her legacy as an emblem of nostalgia and familial stability. While she was not known for scandal or controversy, her influence endured through the characters she portrayed and the values they communicated. Her career reminds us that longevity in the public consciousness often derives from consistency, integrity, and the ability to embody ideals that resonate across generations. Humanity immortalizes figures like Billingsley through the continued circulation of their work, reruns, documentaries, and cultural references, ensuring that even as individual lives end, the ideals and stories they represented endure. In remembering Barbara Billingsley, we honor not just an actress, but a reflection of shared memory, societal values, and the enduring human desire to preserve comforting and instructive narratives through time. Peggy Ann Garner, the celebrated American child actress of the 1940s, passed away on October 16, 1984, at the age of 55 from cancer. Her death marked the quiet end of a life once dominated by the bright lights of Hollywood's golden age, reflecting both the fleeting nature of early fame and the broader societal fascination with youth, innocence, and the American dream. Garner's passing serves as a lens into an era when the pressures of stardom often collided with personal development, and the public's appetite for child performers was both voracious and unforgiving. Born in 1932, Garner rose to prominence during World War II, most famously starring in A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, 1945, a performance that earned her a Special Academy Juvenile Award. Her talent embodied the optimism and resilience of wartime America, offering audiences a sense of hope and continuity amid global upheaval. Yet, like many child actors of her time, Garner faced the challenges of navigating fame while transitioning into adulthood, a period when Hollywood had little structure to support young performers beyond their earliest successes. Her eventual retreat from the public eye reflected both personal choice and the era's limited opportunities for former child stars. The immediate consequences of her death were largely reflective and commemorative. Industry peers and fans remembered her brilliance and the charm she brought to early American cinema, highlighting the enduring impact of performances that shaped cultural memory. Garner's passing also prompted reflection on the cost of early stardom, including the pressures and sacrifices faced by children in entertainment and the ephemeral nature of celebrity in an era before modern protections and public discourse about mental and emotional health for young performers. Peggy Ann Garner's legacy is amplified through her enduring screen work, which continues to evoke the innocence, optimism, and resilience of mid-20th century America. Her death reminds us of humanity's desire to preserve moments of joy, inspiration, and artistic excellence, even as individuals inevitably pass. We immortalize figures like Garner through film preservation, retrospectives, and scholarly recognition, ensuring that the artistry and cultural resonance they created endure beyond their lifetimes. In remembering Peggy Ann Garner, we honor not only a gifted actress but also the collective memory of an era and the timeless narratives that continue to inspire audiences across generations. Marie Antoinette, the last Queen of France before the French Revolution, met a violent and historic death on October 16, 1793, when she was executed by guillotine in Paris. Her execution marked the culmination of intense social, political, and economic turmoil in France, and reflected the Revolutionary era's values of radical equality, justice, and public accountability, or, in the eyes of her critics, vengeance. As a figurehead of the monarchy, her life and death became emblematic of the growing divide between the aristocracy and the populace, highlighting the perils of excess, detachment, and public perception in a time of profound social upheaval. Marie Antoinette's death was the result of conviction for treason by the Revolutionary Tribunal, a process fueled as much by political necessity as by popular outrage. Accused of conspiring with foreign powers and symbolizing the monarchy's extravagance amid national famine, she became a scapegoat for widespread suffering. Her execution, carried out before thousands in the Place de la Révolution, was not only a personal tragedy, but also a societal spectacle, demonstrating the Revolutionary era's emphasis on public demonstration of justice. The guillotine, then a symbol of equality in death, underscored the period's radical redefinition of power and authority. The immediate consequences of her death were both practical and symbolic. Politically, the monarchy was definitively dismantled, and the revolution intensified its drive toward republicanism. Socially, her death sent a chilling message to aristocrats and royal sympathizers across Europe. Yet paradoxically, her demise also amplified her legend. While she was vilified as Madame Deficit in life, she was later romanticized as a tragic victim of circumstance, a queen whose elegance and humanity were crushed by the revolutionary fervor around her. Artistic depictions, literature, and film have continued to reinterpret her image, oscillating between vilification and sympathy. Marie Antoinette's death illuminates humanity's complex relationship with mortality, power, and memory. It reminds us that historical figures often become symbols larger than themselves, their lives and deaths used to express societal anxieties and ideals. Through art, literature, and public commemoration, she remains immortalized. Her story a cautionary tale of excess, the volatility of public opinion, and the enduring human fascination with both tragedy and royalty. In remembering Marie Antoinette, we confront not only her personal fate, but the broader dynamics of history, power, and the fragile line between myth and reality.